today's video, we're going to look at a couple of more complex structures to say some things in a quite nuanced way. So it's going to be exciting. Let's jump right in. The first one is to say not only, but also. Not only this, but also this in Chinese. So it's slightly different if there's one subject as opposed to two subjects. So let's start off with one subject. The formula is subject, so that's going to start off the sentence, the subject of the sentence. 不但 something, so 不但 means not only. 不但 not just this, but also that. Not only this, but also 不但 this, 而且 also that. Now a little note, you can also use 也 and 还, which mean also, in place of 而且. This is kind of like maybe a slightly more formal way to say it. The other way might sound a little bit less formal, but they're both fine to say in speech. 不但而且. So, or 不但也不但还. So here we go. Here's a nice little sentence. 他不但很帅. He not only is very handsome, 他不但很帅, 而且 also he has a lot of money. 他很有钱. He's very rich. So 他不但很帅, 而且很有钱. So he's not only handsome, but he also has a lot of money. That would be something to memorize if you're kind of a shallow woman. You want to really know how to say this because you want to, understand it because you want to look for handsome and rich men. 他不但很帅, 而且很有钱. Okay, and then there's that, and this one is showing this a little bit more complex sentence with 还 instead of 而且. 她不但离开了我, she not only left me, 还 also 拿走了 took 我所有的钱 all of my money. 所有 is one way to say it, all of something. 我所有的钱. So there you have it. We're talking about shallow and mean women today. 她不但离开了我, 还拿走了. 拿走, by the way, is a simple directional complement. Usually simple directional complements have 来 or 去, but this is like it's not, to take away. Actually, I'm sorry. That is not a directional complement. That's why I'm confused. It's not a directional complement at all. It's a result complement. To take away. Okay, so 他不但离开了我, 还拿走了我所有的钱. So that's if there's one subject, and here's on this little handy board, we've got an example of two subjects. So if the subject changes here, the reason it says one subject is that he, this one person, is not only 帅, but also has money. She not only left me, but she also took my money. So this is, if it's two subjects, we put the 不但 at the beginning, not after the subject, but before the subject. So 不但, this is true. 而且, this is true. Does that make sense? You're not saying this not only is true. That's not working. All right. 不但, 而且. And then, so it's going to get 不但 plus subject, 而且 plus subject plus 也. So it's a little more complex, little bit more going on here. It's not that bad. 这个电影, this movie, 不但孩子喜欢, not only do 孩子 kids like. So 这个电影, 不但孩子喜欢, not only do kids like it, 而且大人也很喜欢. Also, adults 也很喜欢 also really like it. This is from All Set Learning. I added the 而且 in parentheses here to show that it can be there and it can be omitted. 而且 can be omitted and just have the 也, or we can have 而且 subject 也. So 这个电影不但孩子喜欢, 而且大人也很喜欢. Hope that makes sense. Another thing to point out is that there are actually a couple other words that can be replace 不但 and mean the same thing. There's 不止, So you know 只 meaning only. So not only. So in English we have not only and not just, I think you could say, and who knows, but there might be other ways I'm not thinking of. And we also have another word you don't know, 不仅, 不仅, which means the same thing as this. Okay, see you in the next clip. The next two things I'm going to teach you, phrases or structures I'm going to teach you, are related. One uses 就 and one uses 才. And 就 will tell what this 只要就 thing is usually translated as long as this condition is met, then something will happen. And the other one that I'll teach you next is only if this condition is met. 才 something something something. So this one is saying, it's not saying only if, it's just as long as and only if are different in this way. As long as gives a sufficient condition. If this condition is met, then such and such can happen. Whereas only if means this is the only possible condition, sufficient condition. This is the only way. So in other words, as long as says this is a way, and as long as it happens, then such and such can happen. But only if means this is the only way, and only if this happens, then such and such can. One is a sufficient condition, and one is a absolutely necessary condition. That's a little difference, and that's, it's funny. It's like when you analyze these things, wow, it's like you learn this stuff and you intuit it when you learn a language as a child, but to analyze it, man, it's a lot to go through. All right, so we have 只要就. It's 只要 something something, 就 something something, and if there is a subject, it goes. If there's a different subject, it goes right here before the 就, like always. Okay, 只要你不生气, as long as 只要, this only 要, I don't even know if I can conceptually sort of like describe that. 只要, I think I sort of feel it, but I don't know how to say it. 只要你不生气, as long as you are not angry. I 就 then 告诉你 tell you. This is from All Set Learning. As long as you don't get angry, I will tell you. That's what that means. 只要你不生气，我就告诉你. Here we have 只要有你在. Now this is a fun phrase. It's super simple, and I wonder if you understand it. 只要, of course, as long as. 有你在. What does that mean? There is you there. So as long as you are with me, that's what that means. As long as I have you, as long as you're with me, 我就放心了. I will not worry. I'll be at peace. 只要有你在，我就放心了. I will not worry. All Set Learning. Here we have one that's slightly different, and I'll explain why. The same structure, but actually would be translated in English a little bit different. 只要下雨, as long as it rains. It's not actually as long as, but 只要下雨, it rains. 她就会心情不好. All Set Learning. She 就will 心情不好, be in a bad mood. So if we use as long as, it sounds like this. As long as it rains, she will be in a bad mood. In English, we wouldn't say it that way. We would say whenever. Whenever it rains, she is in a bad mood. But the point here, and the reason 只要 works, is because it's like, if this condition is met, every time it's met, then this will happen. And so you can use this 只要 就to express this idea of whenever as well. Cool. Anything else I want to point out? There was another example I didn't write on the board. I'll just translate it to make a point. It says, as long as you finish your work, you don't have to do overtime. You don't have to put in overtime. As long as you finish the work, you don't have to do overtime. So you could also say only if you finish the work, or you don't have to do You don't need to do overtime only if you, man, how do you say this? Hey, do you enjoy seeing me struggle through these things? I hope so. Um, only you don't. I guess you would say you have to do overtime if you don't finish the work. But I'm trying to contrast this one with the next one. So this when you say it like as long as, it sounds a little bit more like a positive thing. That's what the point I wanted to make. A positive thing, like as long as you finish your work, you don't have to do overtime. Yay! It's a great opportunity for you. Right? Where the other one is more like it feels more strict, and like you have to do your overtime if you don't finish your work, or you can't leave on time. You can only leave. How about this? You can only leave on time if you finish the work. And so that sounds a little bit more restrictive, and it is actually more restrictive. So I wanted to make the point that you can use this 只要就 in the next one, which is 只有才, that to express similar meanings, but it'll feel different. That's my point. I'll see you in the next clip. In this clip, we're going to talk about 只有 and 才, and this means not only if then something can happen. Only if this sufficient and necessary condition is met, can something else happen. I want to point out that the last one was 只要 and 就, and the pronunciation, if maybe if you're not used to it, sounds very similar. 只要只有 zhǐyào, zhǐyǒu. They are different, and you need to differentiate them because they mean they put a very different emphasis on the feeling of the sentence. 只有多说, only if one speaks a lot, speaks more, does a lot of speaking. 只有多说,你的中文, your Chinese, 才会提高means, this is from Offset Learning, 提高 means to improve. In other words, you have to talk a lot if you want to improve your Chinese. 只有多说, 你的中文才会提高. This kind of 只有才 is always, it's often, not always, combined with something like 能, 才能, or 才会. And here's an example of 能. 只有有钱, only if you have money, one has money, 才能办这种事. 才能办. Okay, so 办这种事. 事 is matter, like a matter of business or something to talk about or something that needs to be done. 办 means to take care of something. Like if you need to go to the post office and mail something, you would 办那个事. You would take care of that thing. You would go do it. So this means 这种 means this kind of. So in other words, you can only take care of this kind of thing if you have money. You can only get this thing done if you have money. 只有有钱才能办这种事. And then Offset Learning pointed out, and I realize it's true, that sometimes this idea of only if, this usage of 才, can be expressed without 只有. It's like there's it's kind of, this is an example right here. The very, very simple one is a quick retort when someone calls you a name and you want to say, actually, someone calls you a jerk and you're like, no, actually, you're the jerk. That, in the example that Offset Learning gave, which I did not write down, is 笨蛋, which means idiot. So if someone calls someone an idiot and they respond, 你才是笨蛋. 你才是笨蛋. That means you're the idiot. But the 才是, so it's 你才是. It's like you're the only one. It's kind of like only if. You're the only one who's an idiot, not me. So you're the idiot, not me. Another usage of that is right here. This is more of a complex sentence, but it illustrates it well. This is like someone starting off a talk or an essay on kind of racist ideas and how they're wrong. 在某些西方国家 in some, this is 某些 means some here. 在 it's kind of like in certain Western countries. 在某些西方国家, so 西方 means Western, 国家 means countries. In certain Western countries, 白人 white people 才是 are only white people, so it's only white people are 真正的 are true Westerners. This is, and then the All Set Learning example goes on to say, I do not agree with this. And it's kind of like the beginning of an essay. But here we have, it's like only if, it's like Byron, you can kind of see the only if idea. Only if you're white, 才 would you be considered a true Westerner in that place. So that kind of illustrates the usage of 才 referring to this, Byron. Only if you're white. Only if you're white will you be considered this. So it's kind of like there's sometimes this idea of only if is kind of in the phrase, but it's not explicitly put over here. In fact, we could take this whole part out just to understand the grammar. And then the sentence would be 白人才是真正的西方人. So the idea is only if one is white. So it's a noun, 白人, that's captured together with 才, is capturing that whole idea of like only if one is white, but it's just saying white people. Does that make sense? In English, we'd probably say only white people. We just say only white people, rather than this kind of structure. But that's the idea. So in certain Western countries, only white people, 白人才, are considered to be true Westerners. Of course, I don't believe that, just in case you're wondering. We're just using an example here. Okay, hope you enjoyed today's video. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. Woohoo!